Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasons, while drinking an old-fashioned. If you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button now. Platforms other than YouTube tend to block some of our content. Subscribe now to get up-to-date videos and shorts as they release. Now, enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasons while drinking an old-fashioned. I'm Brian.
And I'm Russ.
Russ, we've got, I want to call him a new Mason, but not really new anymore. New compared to us.
Compared to us, he's new.
So we have a new Mason, and this being November, and we're celebrating veterans, I'm going to let you interview him, or let you introduce him,
All
and
right.
we will get into what we do.
Well, today on our podcast, we have our brother, Robert Wood. Welcome very
Thank
much.
you. Glad to be here.
Yeah.
So, have you seen any of the episodes? Tell the truth.
I've seen a couple
Bits and pieces?
bits and pieces.
So everyone knows we kind of do a pre-con. We find out what they know and see if they're expecting some of the nonsense. But those who watch know that we don't do any nonsense. But
Whoa, wait a second. I fully expected nonsense with you. So
most people do. Fred Smith was one of our more nervous Nellies.
I think so. And then he just settled right in.
He just settled right in. So what we like to do on the Old-Fashioned Masonic Podcast, we like to know as much about the man as we do the Mason. So we're going to start off, nothing Masonic. Who is Robert Wood, the man?
Robert Wood, the man. Wow. Difficult question. So I'd like to think that I'm an intellectual, that playboy, that is wealthy and does great things in the world. However,
Okay,
the
how about-
reality
Okay.
Well, all right.
is
I didn't know where that was going.
I was so excited, though. Keep going.
The reality is I've turned into a fat old man that enjoys golf and sits around the house using ChatGPT to find the meaning of life. That's kind of what I do.
Did you find it?
I have not. But it's an amazing program, so if you get a chance.
Are you using 4.0 or 3.5?
4.0. I pay for it.
You
Yep.
pay that $20 a month for it. I'll tell you off what we've got it doing for us. So, but
It's amazing.
So you've talked about that.
Yep.
Married, kids.
I am married. No kids that I know of.
Okay.
Still waiting for a knock at the door, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, you know what? I've had that happen with a friend in my life that at 18, when his daughter was 18, he found out.
Oh.
Crazy. And he paved the way for many of us.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
No kids.
No kids. No kids.
No kids. So, where were you born? Where
So I'll give you the
just
I'll give you the
quick-
Reader's
We're having
Reader's
the full-
Digest.
we're having the full chance to
No,
get to there.
I'll give you the Reader's Digest version of me. So born into a military family, so I moved all over the world my entire life, and I ended up in Killeen, Texas, going through high school, joined the Army.
Did you go to Coppers Cove High School?
I did not. I went to Killeen. Two
Okay.
5A schools. I went to one of the two.
All right. No Harper Heights or anything.
Nope.
Yeah.
So I joined the Army out of high school, went to Desert Storm, realized I needed an education, so I went to K-State, the only real college in the state of Kansas.
Okay.
Well, I would tend to agree.
I don't have a dog in that hunt, so.
So I always wanted to be in law enforcement, so after college I went into Wichita PD, joined Wichita PD for about over a decade. Simultaneously, I was in the National Guard after I got off active duty, so I did both of them for a while, and after 9/11, I started deploying overseas quite a bit more, and just made more financial sense to go back active duty. So I've retired from the PD, I've retired from the military, and joined the Masons about the same time I retired, pre-COVID.
So that leads us into the next question. So, talk to us about your Masonic journey from the beginning to today.
So it was pretty amazing. So I met a gal named Bonnie at the Festival of Trees, and I'm not sure who she is. I haven't seen her since, but Bonnie.
Bonnie Caps, a
Bonnie
blonde
Caps,
lady.
blonde hair?
That may be.
Bonnie
yeah.
Caps, yes.
Blonde
So
Caps
she
blonde.
turned me on to Doug Chartier. I don't know if he was the master of the lodge at the time. Who was first, Joe Beck or Doug?
It was Doug, then
It was
Joe.
Doug then Joe. So she turned me on to Doug. Doug kind of held my hand through the process.
Right.
Got me in touch with Chris Collins, who kind of helped me through the process. And
Yep.
then when I became a Mason, they assigned me to Joe Beck, who found out that I was a private pilot and got excited about that and wanted to take me up and got me a tailwheel endorsement. And I just started making like immediate friends, and it was pretty amazing.
The networking is pretty amazing inside the fraternity.
And I wasn't trying. It was just literally just,
No, it's just-
everybody's
Isn't it better that way, though?
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's natural. When it works, it works.
So you went through, became a Master Mason.
Yep.
Did you join?
Well, no. So I went through, became an apprentice for over a year.
And then what happened? What happened after
Why,
you took
why,
over?
why would it have taken you so long? What was going on around to 2020?
Yeah. So COVID stopped all the progression. So I got to a point where I was giving, oh my gosh, what are they called? Interrogatories to other lodges as an entered apprentice. But once they opened it back up, I think I made fellow craft and Master Mason within a month or something like that. It was pretty quick.
Because you have the cipher, right? it doesn't take a lot.
Not that much.
You're right. That's great. So you went through. Now you're a Master Mason. Those who weren't picking up, he was an EA doing some lecturing EA equivalent and then some stuff. So
because you had nothing else better to do.
like I got
than
study
just learn
club and
everything you could.
Yep.
It was.
But it was a
fun
good group of people. It was fun to be around. I still went to study club. It was a great time.
Because I kept hearing, there's this dude he's learning all sorts of things.
Really good looking guy, right?
Yeah, good looking guy.
we heard that was first from so he's good looking, whatever.
Yeah, fat former cop, but it's okay.
That is great.
Nice.
Those are your words, not mine.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So, now you're a Master Mason at Outer Pike Lodge in Wichita, Kansas. So
went through the Scottish Rite to see the degrees. My father was a Mason, and he was a Scottish Rite Mason. I wanted to see what the degrees were about. Then joined the Shrine and joined a couple clubs in the Shrine, and
Nice.
Really, that's about it.
Yeah.
Fun fact: do you know who fezzed him?
Your wife.
My wife. Did you know that though?
No, I did not.
Okay.
But you
Also,
were so excited.
he may or may not have injured himself at the Shrine. We'll talk about that another time.
All right.
So,
Yes.
what initially made you seek out the fraternity? I mean, why the Masons?
Yeah, so like I said, my father was a Mason for all my life, and I saw how it affected him and our family both. And he asked me if I wanted to get involved in DMLA, and I always told him no, I had no interest in it. But later in life, I was always interested in doing it, just never had the time. And yes, that's an excuse, I get it, but the reality is that's the way I felt. So when I retired, I was sitting in my basement, binge watching Netflix, and had nothing better to do. So.
Right.
Yeah. So early on, you were an entered apprentice. You did a lot of things. So have you progressed and gotten proficiency cards? Have you done any of those things?
Not me.
Well, you.
No, I
You're
still need to do the B card.
Okay.
Are people giving you slack about it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yes,
right.
they are.
It wasn't us, and whoever it is, it reeks of Collins, Garth, Doug, all of those guys.
We will just project that upon them.
Okay.
You won't know that, you answered several of my questions before, so I had to come up with it on the fly.
It is true. That's why I saw that you did that, so I bumped ahead. So, at any point, it was taking such a long time was there any point you're like, man, they may never open back up. I just got to go do something else. Was there any point that you thought maybe you weren't going to come back?
No, because I was excited in the beginning. It was still exciting and meeting everybody. So.
Okay.
Well, good.
Okay.
So, I like that. So, while you were in the military, tell me, what was your favorite part? Was there an assignment? Was there a duty station? Or what was maybe your favorite part or something you can give us a little flavor?
And where'd you end at rank?
Yeah.
Because we didn't really go there.
Yeah.
So the favorite part was probably an assignment in Afghanistan, and all the deployments aren't necessarily, never fun to be away from home.
Right.
But I feel like I had a strategic effect on what I was doing. So I was an embedded training team leader with the Afghan National Army.
Okay.
So we got to help train them on their decision-making process, their military decision-making process, and then go take them out to actually run those missions. So it was...
So what's your feeling today of what finally transpired in Afghanistan? This is completely off script.
It is off script.
You went there, but
Are you talking about the exit in
Yeah,
general?
the exit, and what's your thought? Or do you?
Yeah. So
you, how did that affect you?
So there's a couple questions there.
Yeah.
What are my thoughts on it? It was a horrible. It was a horribly executed event, and I think that there was probably. I'm just assuming that there was a miscommunication between senior leadership that said, "I want you out by X date." And everybody jumping through their butt to make it happen at the last second. Because there's no lieutenant or captain in any advanced course throughout the military that would have written a plan like that. That was just absolutely horribly executed. How it affected me is I had several people that I developed relationships with over there to include interpreters that I've stayed in touch with over the years. I mean, I've lived with several interpreters that were signed to me that I went on combat operations with that are probably dead now. So that's the kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, that kind of stuff was a little bothering.
Yeah, I agree. So you mentioned earlier you're a police officer. So what did you find between the military and Wichita PD? Which career path did you maybe find a little more challenging, and why? They're very different.
Yeah.
And you work with different caliber of individuals at times?
I would say so. It's kind of hard to align those two up. They're both challenging in their own ways.
Okay.
So the people were challenging. So like in the military, it was always... There were several senior leaders with a lot of overinflated self-worth, so you'd have to massage egos up and then also down the chain of command.
Yeah.
Whereas a police officer, regardless of where I go, I'm in charge. So if I don't like the way something's happening, I take people's liberty away within the confines of the laws, regulations, and policies and procedures.
Okay. That's fair. So I like that.
So we've asked this question a lot of people sitting between us, and it's just something sort of fun. Living or dead, who would you like to have a meal with that you have never shared a meal with before?
Living or dead?
Yep.
Sharing a meal
have never sat down to have a meal with.
It's always, when I hear this, always a tough question because I'm still like, I don't know for sure. There's so many. But first one out of the dome.
That I've never shared a meal with.
Yep. Right. Takes out family.
Man, I really don't know.
Anybody that inspires you, then you go, we've had anybody from Winston Churchill,
George Washington, Schwarzkopf. We've just heard a little
Eisenhower, too. No one's picked the current president yet.
Or the former.
Probably Bush.
Which one? One or two?
The junior. Bush
two?
Junior. Yeah,
all right.
Bush 2.
Yeah. It'd be interesting.
So, what would you ask him?
Probably a lot about Desert Storm, because while I was there, I got a very tactical view of what was happening. Didn't fully understand.
But that's really one, though. That's more one than two.
Oh, do I have them backwards?
Yeah.
Oh, how embarrassing.
Yeah, one was Desert Storm.
Okay, yeah, one then.
Yeah. I thought it would be one when you were doing that. It's like, yeah, because I'd ask him a lot of different questions. I mean, he was head of the CIA for a while. He would be an interesting. He would be. I would take him over too.
He was around a long time.
He was in politics a long time. Yeah, that's true. So here's another one that we kind of ask: if you could have a superpower, just any sort of superpower, what would it be and why?
Probably hearing, so I could hear my wife when she talks. Wow, can we cut that?
No,
there's no cutting here. There's no cutting here. Anybody that knows.
Oh my God, she knows where I'm here too.
That's fine.
Do you think she'll actually listen to your podcast?
Probably not. She doesn't listen to me anyway.
And we're not cutting that up. That's great.
So, if an officer of Albert Pike would come to you and say, we are in need, and we feel as though you would be right to join the line at Pike. Do you have aspirations to do something like that?
So no, I do not have aspirations to do it. I've been in charge of people my entire life, and honestly, there's something to be said for showing up to lodge and sitting down and enjoying the fellowship and relationships and not being in charge of anything. Now, that said, if I'm asked to help, I would help, just because I feel like it's my obligation to help. But aspirations, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just going to throw in an editorial here because I think Outer Pike...
You can beat me to it.
Yeah, I think Outer Pike needs guys exactly like you.
Yeah.
And just the fact that, no, you don't have an aspiration, but I think that you would serve our craft well being a lodge.
The ones that don't have aspirations are always your best leaders.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know that, but
Yeah.
you're right. But Pike, we could sure use them. So let's kind of go to proficiency. Although you haven't done it yet, but you came out of the gate. So proficiency is a really big topic in Kansas Masonry. So this is a would you rather, not like my would you rathers that you know.
Yeah, listen, we don't need to talk about that
we
on
don't
air.
need to talk about that.
Never on air.
Okay, so would you rather have a line full of all A, B, C, D, E, F Masters Unlimited card holders, or all a line of just inspirational, motivational leaders? You have to have one or the other. Which one is it and why?
So inspirational and motivated, and this is why. We become proficient to ensure that the words are handed down correctly, and we're very draconian when it comes to word by word. Yeah. However, we have ciphers. So, I mean, I've been to several lodges where they've read out of the book. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but it is a thing.
Yeah.
The inspirational leaders can help attract and retain some of the folks that we need to get into lodge and maybe potentially build the numbers in the lodge.
We agree. The perfect answer is a mixture of both, right?
Very much so.
We agree. More people, even past Grand Masters, have said nearly the same thing.
Yeah, very much so. So today, what do you think is the biggest problem facing Masonry in Kansas? And then tell us how you'd fix it.
Yeah, but I don't know that there's a fix. I think the time of Masons back in the day, before the internet, before communications being so fluid, people had more time, right? And I think being part of some of these organizations is not quite as sexy as being on the internet gaming or whatever it is the kids are doing these days. I think that's part of the problem. I'm sorry, what was the first question?
Just for fighting for time?
Yeah. So one of the other problems is a lot of folks don't know what it is. Mm-hmm. And I was coming back from Liberal, Kansas last week, and one of the guys asked me about the tag on my truck with the Masonic emblem. And I said, yeah, I'm a Mason, I'm a Shriner. Not all Masons are Shriners, but all Shriners are Masons type thing. Mm-hmm. And which segued into more of a dialogue, and they were asking about the Scottish Rite and York Rite and whatnot. And then they asked me some questions I didn't know the answer to, and which I thought I knew, but I didn't. And it's just interesting that people that I thought were like super intellectual had no clue about what Freemasons were.
Right.
Or were they just open to, I want to do what I read on the internet and all that, but let me go to the source. Could that be too?
Might be.
Yeah.
Because I think unless you have ever been exposed to it at all, there's a lot of things that you're exposed to, but unless you actually have a family member or something,
right,
you just sort of drive by and you don't spend.
I was so ignorant about it.
So, not that that's a bad thing. It's just sometimes you just don't think about it until it's right there in front of you.
Well, here was my ignorance in the military. When I was in, a lot of Masons, they were mostly black. So I thought for years, it was like a black. They said, "Oh, we're fraternity brothers." I thought it was a black fraternity, right? And then when I finally joined, reached out to a guy that he's out of the DEA now, but said, "Hey, Mike, so I joined the Mason. Why didn't you ever tell me about it, dude? I thought it was like a black fraternity." And he said, "Do you know how many times I heard that?" And I said, in our group we ran around, name one white guy that was in that lodge. He said, we didn't have any. And they weren't Prince Hall. Isn't that fascinating? That was just what I thought of it as a young man. So you haven't really seen a lot of the podcast, but we always end with this. This being the holiday season.
I'm not sure he's ever gotten to the end of one, so
didn't-
this
I
may
didn't.
be
So-
brand new.
Right. So the most important question of the podcast. So one must go forever. It was never invented. So folks, on the screen, you're going to see turkey, as moisture as dry as you like it, pumpkin pie, stuffing or dressing, as some people call it, and ham, however you like it cooked. One has to go forever, Robert. It was never invented. What is it and why? It's a tough one.
Yeah, it is.
Not tough for him.
Not at all.
Well, pumpkin pie is staying.
Okay. All right.
That's
Go,
gotta
do your
stay.
deductive
Turkey
reasoning. I
stand.
like it.
So it's one of the bottom two.
So
wow.
it's either between dressing and ham.
Yeah, but it's a tough one. So, if I had only had to have one meat, I'd say get rid of the ham. Got to have the dressing. I'm sorry, that's just me.
The ham's got to go. Okay. I would have got rid of
That's
turkey.
good.
What was yours?
Turkey. Get rid of turkey.
Yeah, me too. I can
And
go
I've made the proclamation this year in my house. There is a weird.
for Thanksgiving.
For Thanksgiving,
I get it
we're
for
not-
Christmas ham.
No, we're doing
Holy
away the turkey.
Folks, we have to end on that. I'm about to throw up. Thanks for watching the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast. Cheers.
Beef is what's good for you.
What did you think of this episode? To continue to promote Freemasonry, hit that like button now. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and give us a comment. The Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where real Masons talk Freemasonry. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a comment.